All right, Shalom Akim, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, peace and blessings to you fellow Akim out there pushing out this word and choose sincerity, Brother Kanak. And I want to do a quick video on how the whole earth will rejoice when the so-called white man gets put out of power. You know, I was just scrolling through, my homepage on my YouTube where all different feeds and different videos, and I was watching different videos throughout the whole world. What's trending, what's going on, what's the consensus, what's the sentiment around the world, and pretty much it's hell. Everybody's struggling, everybody's catching hell, everybody's complaining. Okay, not just in America, but around the world. Now, I was watching a video. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm not going to play the video, but it was in China. You got them Chinese, they totally have bought into this American, way of living. And the majority of the citizens out there are living in cages. All right, Hong Kong's the most expensive place to live in the world. All right. So the majority of the working class, all right, it's impossible for them to live in regular homes. They have to actually live in apartments. When they convert it to cages. They're actually living in cages and boxes. And all these different videos, besides the folly, it's pretty much they all have one thing in common. The majority of people are crying out, and they're mourning. You have pedophile rings spiking up. You have people just overweight. People not knowing what to do. People trapped in jail. People complaining about their situations. And that's all that you see when you watch these different news feeds. When you turn on the news, what do you see? You see nothing but, oh, here it is. There's a video of a man out here in the Bay Area living in a makeshift lot under a bridge, because there's no jobs. Or if you do have a job, you have to slave, all right, nonstop, just to make a low wage so you can, eat cheap food, GMOs. You can be in a small, 200 square foot room, especially out here in the Bay Area. The wage gap, okay, from the rich and the poor is astronomical. All right, there's a housing crisis because people work, all right, but they don't have enough. Especially you Israelites. Let me bring out a couple of scriptures. Let me bring out this scripture. Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So when the righteous come in authority, which we know for sure, it's impossible for the so-called white man to be the righteous, because look at the state of the earth. The earth is in a downward spiral to the point to where animals are being extinct, or you have something called global warming, all right, where the earth is pretty much destroying itself. It's imploding because of the intervention of the so-called white man. Okay, the so-called white man, he came to America. He's came around. He's around the whole world. Okay, with his democracy. Okay, what is his so-called politics, his way of living. He's intervening in all these different nations, and now all the nations are rising up because they have bought in this way of living. Esau made it he made it look sexy, so to speak. He made the way of living like an Edomite sexy, well, Esau tells you sex sells. So he has made it so-called provocative and sexy, the way of Edomite living, your woman being over you, woman having rights, homosexuals being free, all under the banner of love. Esau's just about this love-free world, when really it's really, when you accept that, you accept the way of death. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn, and that's basically what's going on in the planet Earth. Okay, so the people are mourning. You have this government shutdown, this political circus, okay, in the government. You know, everybody knows that there's something big coming. You know, that the animals themselves are being oppressed. Or Esau, he has lions in cages, and all the other nations have adopted those philosophies. Or you got them damn gooks, they actually breed tigers. All right, from birth, they got hundreds of tigers in cages. Or they use them for different medicinal medicines. You know, they use them to put them in zoos to make money off of them. So everybody in the world is in an uproar. You know, it's pretty much impossible to live. Okay, there's an attack on masculinity. Okay, I mean everything is just totally out of whack. But you know what? The so-called white man is falling, and he's falling fast. Okay, so we're not gonna have to worry about the so-called white man being in power, all right, oppressing you. Here it is, a housing crisis, but there's billions upon billions of square miles of land where the whole world can live comfortably. You don't have to live, you know, all huddled up next to somebody, okay, in this so-called rat race. Let me bring out a couple more scriptures. This is Isaiah 14 and 4. Thou shalt take up this parable against the king of Babylon, and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yeah, this is the golden city, which every nation tries to, you know, position themselves or situate themselves as Babylon. That's why when you go into these different, which you would call third world nations, okay, what, 20, 30, 40 years ago, now they're built up in like manner as Babylon. You would think that you're in New York City or like a San Francisco or a Chicago. When you go into these different third world countries like Singapore, China was once a third world country. You know, different parts of Africa. You know, these different Asian nations. These different Asian Arab nations. What did they do? They built up their kingdom like a Babylon. But Babylon was the oppressor. When you build up a city like that and you hump people, you herd people into these metropolitan cities, these big cities, or you tell them that they got to get a job, you tell them they got to go to school for 10 years, or you tell them that they have to get into debt, or that's being oppressive. And who's the spearhead of that? Babylon. So here it says, how is the golden city ceased? Because this city was once golden, right? Really, well, it was their gold was cakered. Really, it was when you go get a chain from the jeweler, right? It was really copper with a gold coating. So now that gold coating is being revealed, that it was nothing but copper or a lesser gold. Really, it was iron and miry clay, as it's spoken about in Daniel's 2nd chapter. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers. Who is that talking about? I was talking about the elite of this world. Okay, because the wicked, they're bearing rule. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and now the whole earth is in mourning, from the animals to the people. Okay, to the elect, the spirits of the elect are crying out to Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. It's hard to make rent. Okay, you have to be a damn servant, or to your boss. You have to work these long, hard hours. Or even say your job is not so-called, you know, labor intensive. Well, just the very fact of you being around, you know, wickedness, you do a mundane task around a bunch of wicked women, you know, confusion. You know, people are clicked up at the job. You have to, it's pretty much a goddamn a circus, just going to work, dealing with people. All right, Esau takes money from you before you even get your check. All right, so that's the oppressive city. But the Lord, he has broken the staff of the wicked. He is breaking the staff of the wicked now. He who smote the people with a wrath, with a continual stroke. He who ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. See, yeah, that's the so-called white man. He ruled with a continual stroke. He ruled the nations in anger. All right, the very fact that he makes you go to school, okay, suffer, all right, the wicked doctrine that he pushes upon you. And these things are pushed upon you. These things are not optional. And he bugs your mind out. He bugs your children out. He forces you to take injections in the form of inoculations, or they call immunizations. Okay, that bug your children out. They're all autistic. The whole earth is at rest and it's quiet. They break forth into singing. So when the children of Israel come into power, the righteous, the whole earth is going to rejoice and go into singing. Okay, including the other nations. The other nations, they're mad, they're upset at the way that the so-called white man has ruled the earth. Okay? And that's why these other nations are positioning themselves to destroy America ultimately. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. So the very nature itself, they're going to rejoice. The air, oxygen, the elements, they're going to rejoice. The people, they're going to rejoice. Right? Let's go back to Proverbs. Because all that's here on the planet Earth is, heartache, sorrow. Let me bring out this verse. Ecclesiastes 1:18. For much wisdom is much grief. So when you actually understand how this society works, you understand who your enemy is, you understand who the so-called white man is according to the Bible, and all the things that he's doing, or you become in a grieved state. For much wisdom is much grief. And that's why a lot of these preppers, they bug out. They'll flee the country. They'll go into isolation. Once they see how this government really works, once they see how, this world is really against them, or there's no way of moving up unless you're just a damn cyborg sodomite. He that increaseth in knowledge increaseth in sorrow. So the more knowledge you get, especially the knowledge of Yahweh Shema Shai, you increase in sorrow, because you know that this is what is not your rest. Let's bring that out. And we're hastening until we actually enter into rest. What is that scripture? Slide. That's why we have departed from Babylon mentally. We're here in the world, right? We're here in the world, but we are not a part of this world. Micah 2:10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. And you see our people are destroyed with a sore destruction, a sore wound that cannot be healed. Death is the only way to heal that sore wound that is taking place on our people and on the planet Earth. Our Esau is that sore wound. Our Esau is that destruction that was placed in the planet Earth. He is as death. So he has made life just completely hard. He has oppressed everybody. Let's read this up at the top. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When it is morning, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. It's because they actually have the power to fulfill their will. And their will is what? Wicked. Verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence. See, everywhere that the so-called white man everywhere the so-called white man is, he has taken it by violence. He's in every nation pushing on his wicked agenda. Or the so-called Jews in every nation pushing out his wicked way of living. All right, man. Most High is going to destroy you, so-called Jews, man. Most High is going to destroy you. The Most High is destroying you now. And they covet fields and take them by violence. And let's bring out another scripture first about coveting. All right, because that's in the law. Not to covet your neighbor's possessions. Let me see if I can find it. Right, this is Sirach 10 and 9. Why is earth and ashes proud? Who's that talking about? The so-called white man. There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. See, the Most High compared the so-called compared wicked with covetous. All right, meaning the so-called white man is the most wickedest thing on the planet Earth, because he went around, he coveted everything. Whatever you have, he wants, and then he wants to charge you for it. There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, for such as one selleth his own soul to sell, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. Yeah, the so-called white man, he doesn't care about his soul. All right, well, the soul that's lifted up is not upright in him. Okay, let's go back to Micah 2. So there is nothing more wicked than a so-called white man on the planet Earth. He is the wicked. Micah 2 and 2, and they covet fields. Who is that talking about? The so-called white man. The so-called white man has intervened in every nation's affairs. Okay, when you're really behind a lot of these policies in these different countries, well, the so-called white man has his hand in there. He's meddled. And take them by violence. So he has coveted things, and he has took them by violence, by the sword and houses, and take them away. So he has taken away your house, meaning he has taken away your land. Okay, he has taken away your God-given land, right? So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And then what does he give you? He gives you democracy. He gives you Federal Reserve notes. Okay, whatever denomination of a dollar that he gives a so-called nation. They bought into that philosophy. Now you got people living in tiny homes. You got people living under bridges. You got people eating out of garbage cans. You got people strung out on drugs. This did not happen until the so-called white man came into power. But very soon, he's about to get ripped out of power. Okay, and who's going to come into power? The Israelite. Let me bring this out real quick. Maccabees 1, 1 Maccabees 1 and 9. And after the death, they all put crowns upon themselves, so that their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. This is when Alexander, it tells you here in verse 7. Okay, Alexander, when he ruled, and then he died, and his generals put crowns on their heads. All right, during the time of the Greeks. And what happened? Wickedness multiplied in the earth. Now you have a place, now you have this place under the sun, which is nothing but wickedness, man. Let me bring out this. Ecclesiastes 3 and 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, and wickedness was there. So the world is a place of judgment where you receive your judgment. But wickedness was there. Why? Because the so-called white man is there. And his hand is spread out throughout the whole world. And the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. So instead of equity, justice, righteousness, judgment, what's in the place of that? Wickedness, iniquity, heartbreak, sorrow, crying, moaning, But the so-called white man, this guy is about to get ripped out of power, man. Let's bring out another scripture, start wrapping it up. Yeah, this dude is no limit. Job 20 and 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since the man was placed upon earth? that the triumphing of the wicked is short and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Yeah, I was watching some videos earlier about, Esau's intervention in Venezuela. They want to overthrow Maduro. And it's the same narrative. Oh, there's a humanitarian crisis. We're here for the people. This wicked regime, this unrighteous regime. Man, Esau, you're the most wicked people on the planet Earth. But that's that hypocrite. All right. Esau's in the power seat, sitting as judges, proclaiming judgment, okay, on the people. And he's doing worse than the people. He's doing as the people are doing and worse. Or he's perverting the law. All right, basically saying good is evil and evil is good. That's what you have here in Babylon. So that's why the whole earth is up in roar. That's why the whole earth is really, they're going to come against the so-called white man. So that the triumphing of the wicked is short and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. All right, that's a question. Yeah, did you not know that? And this is what we're seeing right now. Let's bring this out and then we'll wrap it up. Sirach 10:8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. How was riches gotten by deceit? By covetous, by the force of the sword. And who has done that? The so-called white man, the Edomites of the Bible. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So, the Most High is preparing the kingdom of Israel when the whole earth is going to be at rest and joy. Okay, including the animals, the trees, the ocean. All right, the elements and the other nations. All right, they're gonna love serving under a righteous government. So with that, all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem or Kalkwadash. All right, and death to all you Edomites.